We're back to the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome to the program film editor Lawrence Jordan. Lawrence, thanks for calling. And, you know, when you talk about an area that people forget the importance of, it's definitely film editing. I have to deal with it all the time. If I'm going to shoot stuff on the iPhone, I send it to my team to edit, especially, or I've done an on-location interview. The editing process is so important to make an interview that might have not gone as well as I anticipated much better once it's edited. And that's the same thing in film, right? Because again, without that, it just looks like a whole bunch of mess after all the filming's done, right?
Yeah, who the heck knows what it's going to look like? Yep, they call us the unsung heroes of the filmmaking art. So, you know, not a lot of people know about film editing, although, like you say, with digital technology, people are learning more and more every day. The curtain is being drawn back on our secretive craft.
So tell me all the different films you've edited, some pretty interesting projects you've done, right? Have worked with.
Yeah, well, you know, I started out back in the actual film days on 35 millimeter film, and I was an assistant editor before I actually became an editor for 10 years. And I assisted on films like Terms of Endearment and Buckaroo Banzai, Spies Like Us. The War of the Roses was actually my first editing credit as an associate editor. Went on to do Jodie Foster's directorial debut, Little Man Tate. I cut the first show on the Warner Brothers studio lot, which was done digitally, called Reckless Kelly, for a guy who did a film, an Australian guy who did a film called Young Einstein. And I did a bunch of TV in between. I cut the pilot and first season of NYPD Blue. I did 4 additional television pilots after that. Cut a film that Kiefer Sutherland directed called Truth and Consequences in Mexico. Fallen with Denzel Washington, Jack Frost with Michael Keaton and Kelly Preston. Deuce Bigelow, Mel Gigolo. And just a bunch. Are We There Yet? A bunch of Jackie Chan film called Spy Next Door. So yeah, I've done about 45 film and television projects in my career.
Now, tell us specifically enough how editing can change the game. Could change a scene that might have been shot 10 times, and how you are able to put together something so well it doesn't seem like that there are 3 different shots in one, meaning to put it together. How you're able to really envision what could be the best shot.
Well, you know, it all starts with the script, obviously. And when you read the script, you get a picture in your mind of how the film, you know, will ultimately turn out. And then, you know, the Army goes out and shoots the film. You know, it's, you know, sometimes between 100 and 200 people, sometimes more on some of these bigger films today. And like you say, they get anywhere, you know, they get a multitude of versions of the film. And, you know, basically the editor's job is to look through each day's production dailies, the film they shot on a particular day, and go through the material. And then, you know, there's obviously going to be things where just the actors make mistakes or the camera crew makes mistakes. And those are kind of like the easy decisions. They're really not decisions. You just avoid most of that stuff. But sometimes the beginning of a take can be good, and then they'll make a mistake, and then the end of it is good. So it's really piecing together, you know, the material. And then, of course, you know, it comes down to the editor's initial take on the script, how actor, you know, reads a line, and so on and so forth. And hopefully you're going to be, you know, in concert with the director's vision.
Absolutely. So you're looking at all those different areas. And when it comes to film editing, I think the game has changed tremendously, Lawrence, with digital editing compared to what you had to do before. I remember working in cable access, or meaning I produced a cable access television show, and it wasn't digital for sure. And we're going through and laying track and say, okay, put this tape in. All right, cut here, put another tape in here. With digital editing, it's a lot different, right? It changes the ball game completely than the days of how long it would take monotonously to take, as you said, the film and say, stop right here. Okay, let's grab this part of the film and put it together. Compared to digital editing, where you have a computer and software and you say, okay, plug and play, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it moved us into warp speed because, like you're saying, it was a manual, analog process, and sometimes the director would be there, and he or she would say, "Make this change," and you would say to them, "Well, okay, great. That's going to take about a half hour. Why don't you go take a walk around the block, and I'll see how I'm doing when you come back." Now with digital, the ideas and the execution are almost simultaneous, and the director doesn't have time to make phone calls or walk around the block anymore because it's instantaneous. So it's a different world, but with that, you're dealing with tons more actual source material because that's also digital. They never have to turn the camera off because you're not paying to develop that film. So it's, that's a fraction of the cost. So it's a lot more source material having to wade through, but it's much faster.
All right. Again, we're talking to Lawrence Jordan. He is a film editor, and now you are talking about a very, very good thing for film editors, something that they need to pick up because it's a great digital program. Tell us about that and how important it is specifically to put yourself and differentiate yourself as a filmmaker, because filmmakers have changed. The days of, the big production companies going and doing it, it's over now. Everyone has an opportunity to make a film. Everyone has an opportunity to have success in this genre, but they need to have the right film editing equipment.
Yeah, I was working with my assistant on the last film I did, which was Naked. It was a feature film for Netflix, a comedy starring Marlon Wayans, and we were just sort of dumbfounded at the amount of material. Like I was just saying, that was coming in on a relatively, lower budget film. It was about $25 million film, and we still had over 130 hours of source material. So I was talking to my assistant, Richard Sanchez, and, we just decided that there's this new generation of film editors coming along, and there's no traditional training of actual in the trenches assistant film editing skills. I mean, you go to film school and you're trained as a director or a writer or producer, but not everybody gets to do that right off the bat. It's still kind of a small town, but there's tremendous opportunity in the crafts. So we decided to put together an online training program that takes them from start to finish, pre-production through final delivery, every stage of the intricate processes, skills, and tasks that an assistant editor needs to know to run a feature film editing cutting room. Yeah, it's quite a program. It's 6 modules, 32 lessons, and over 13 hours of material.
And does it also involve software to use as well, Lawrence? After you're done training,
we cover the major piece of software that's used in the major production centers, which is the Avid Media Composer, and that's what 99% of all major films are edited on. And then, of course, we go into all the smaller peripheral pieces of software that you might use, everything from BB Edit to iTunes. Just a variety of different software. It's like a Swiss Army knife kit of tools that make an assistant editor and an editor's job much more efficient and the workflow much smoother.
All right, well, perfect. Where can our listeners out there learn about this class? Because I think it's really a great opportunity for people that want to be in the film editing business to learn more about you and stuff. Where can they go and they could purchase the class and everything? Where can we go?
Yeah, sure. It's at mastertheworkflow.com, and we're online now. We just put through our first group of students, and they're really, really excited about it. They're raving about it. Just got an email from an assistant over in London who's working on another major film. I can't mention the name of it, but he just raved about it. And we're going to be launching our next group on January 15th. So it's mastertheworkflow.com. And come check us out. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email. We're happy to help out. We want to see more people learn the skills that it takes to make everything from major motion pictures to YouTube videos.
All right, Lawrence, thanks for calling. Best of luck in your ventures, and thanks for coming on the show.
Neil, thank you so much for your time. It was good talking to you.
Good talking to you, too. Take care. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You're listening to Neil Haley's show. We'll be back in just a moment.